Go. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Welcome to the second episode of the Player Diff podcast. Today I'm joined again by my co-host, Lucinder, right? And you gotta watch the first episode, Lino. We reveal Lucinder's dirty secret. Today I'm joined by our special guest, a very good friend of mine, the lead coach of the X official TFT Discord, and overall probably one of the most stable players I've ever met. Lino, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, it's great to be here. I'm looking forward for talking about some topics here.
Amazing, amazing. So I know you're from Mexico, but
That's
you
right.
play on the NA server most of the time. What's up with that?
So honestly, I live really close to the border. So like the ping has never been an issue. And I've started playing League of Legends before the LAN servers ever existed. So my account was already on NA. So when the LAN servers appeared, all my friends just decided to stay on the NA server because it wasn't like a big ping difference. It was literally the same. And we knew the player base in NA was going to be bigger. So fast forward to when TFT arrived, around I started playing on set 2, and since my account was on NA, it was just logical for me to start playing on NA. I actually didn't almost touch the game on LAN until set 3.
Huh, interesting, interesting. And I know on LAN, I believe you peaked what, like 1K LP Challenger?
Yeah. So basically on the Fates set, I realized there was like a lot of community and tournaments in LAN. So I wanted to join, and I have this story of a tournament. Like they were like, "We need a player to join the this Latam tournament." I'm like, "Hey, I'm here available," and they're like, "Well, are you Masters Plus?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but on an A." And I'm like, "No, you have to be on LAN." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" So I just said, "Fuck it, let's just climb LAN." And I remember after that, like a week later, I was around Diamond already, and I met someone called at the time Mario Bros. AGL Reaver, I think that's his IGN right now. And he basically was able to introduce me to the whole LAN community. And he told me like, "Hey, so if you wanna like play some tournaments, if you get to Grandmasters, you should be fine." Before you know it, like the next week, I was challenger on the server. It was a pretty fast climb, and they themselves were pretty impressed, even though in NA
Jeez.
I'm just Grandmaster.
Jeez. All right. So since you've played on like two different servers, I'm curious of to your opinion on like regional strengths because that's something Nair and Lux and I talked about pretty intensively on the last episode. So like, how do you think right now how land compares to NA?
I think NA has a deeper knowledge on the game, if I'm honest. I think they just manage a little bit better right now. But the fun thing about playing in LAN is the some players are really aggressive. So they're like more of a first rate play style. So like when you're concentrate on climbing on a server like LAN, maybe even LAS, a lot of times you're just playing for top four because there's gonna be someone who's just gonna all in a really random time and actually high roll from time to time. And it's like, well, this game he wins it, but like maybe he's going like that first raid, and like maybe it work here, and then the next game it's like he tries the same thing and he just goes eight. So like it's just like you have to be consistent like to climb on those servers.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, we were talking about how like if you wanted to work on a specific part of your game, there are certain servers that you should go to because that becomes their regional strength. What would you say like land strength would be?
I think land strength is like really aggressive. Like it's a really aggressive region compared to an A. Like if you don't build a strong board in there, I think you take more damage overall because of the players just liking to level more, and like at least it was like that on Fates. I haven't touched it at all right now on the new set since it just came out some weeks ago. And normally what I do is first I play on an A, I climb myself to Masters, and then I'll play on LAN. That's what I did on 4.5.
Interesting, interesting. Definitely sounds like a server for me. But speaking of servers, so how I met you was really like when I was learning TFT. I had a friend who sent me the TFT Discord, and like I joined, and now I'm acclimated and I'm part of the staff, and it's all cool. But when I first joined, you and I like never really talked. I was kind of aware of like who you were as the lead coach because you have the role and it shows you on the right hand side. Before like the probably the five people who don't know you, how would you intro yourself? As the lead coach, like how did that all happen?
Like intro myself to the community, or how did I became a lead coach?
Both.
Okay, so I'll first talk how I joined the TFT Discord because honestly, it's kind of like your story. I was looking to improve my game. I was playing a lot of casual TFT with my friends, like IRL friends, and then I realized that like platinum up, we couldn't climb. And I wanted to climb. Like I wanted to continue climbing because I had never gone up so high in a game. So I started looking for Discords, and the first one of the first ones that I found was the TFT Discord by a friend. Also, she sent me the link, and that's how I joined. On the TFT Discord, I basically just joined channels, and I had a really good friend. I have a really good friend called Titan Toby, which he was able to introduce me to most of the TFT Discord community, and
Oh
also
yeah,
like
I know
teach me
Titan.
a
I know
lot of
Titan Toby.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, Titan Toby is a great person, and he was also part of the coaching team for a long time.
He coached me. He coached me.
Did he?
Toby
Wow.
coached me. Yeah, but his coaching is not it.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Well, we'll get
Actually,
into coaching and coaching styles differently, but I want to know like what was the progression of like becoming a lead coach?
So basically, around set 4.0, I decided to apply as a coach, mostly because I felt I was active in the Discord and I wanted to help out the community, just like I
yeah.
got helped out when I joined. So for me, when I applied, I got accepted by our ex coach, lead coach Pikachu, and I think I did like the coachings I was required per month. And then like when Pikachu left the coaching team, there was like some nominations about who could be the lead coach, and overall the coaching team decided that I could be a good lead coach, and that's how I am now lead coach.
Yeah,
Interesting. So like what does sorry, Lux, go ahead.
me and then I started coaching together at the same time.
Yeah.
Started being
Interesting. Yeah, so we got two of you coaches here on this show. So I definitely want to be asking about I want to know more about like the behind the scenes of coaching and really want to hear your hot takes. But what does like a lead coach do? Like what does your day or your week look like?
So a lot of my work as a lead coach has been coordinating the team. I think that we've been improving our methods, mostly also our feedback system for us to receive feedback and the coaches to get better. We also introduced to the Discord paid coaching. So a lot of my work as lead coach has been management.
Gotcha, gotcha. And for the five people don't know, like is so you mentioned there's premium coaching and then there's free coaching, I'm assuming?
That's right. So free coaching has always been part of the Discord. Well, at least ever since I joined. And premium coaching was added like a month ago, I think. And it was mostly because we do get a lot of coaching requirements. And I think that we can handle all of them. But if someone really wants to be coached by someone on our team, at least they have that option to like give something back to them because they probably appreciate a lot the coach.
Right. So it sounds like premium coaching is like really the way how to get access to a specific type of coach.
Yeah, like for example, we have people that really like Lux in their style. So like they would like not pray to be picked by Lux, but will actually go to him and tell him, "Hey, can you give me the premium version?" And they will get premium coaching by Lux. Just as an example.
It's funny you mentioned that because when I was starting, I hit diamond and then I just couldn't get out of D4. And my friend who actually referred me to the server one day mentioned Lux and he was like, "Oh yeah, Lux is my favorite person on the server." So I was chatting on the Discord and he came across in the general chat and I just hit him up and he actually gave me a coaching session and that's how I was able to climb out of diamond and hit masters.
Hmm.
Um, but I actually gave him a business coaching session afterwards. I grilled him and told him, "Hey, look, you need to raise your prices, and here's how you're gonna do it." Uh, so I can definitely attest to like how cool coaching is and what the impacts are. But I feel like a lot of people are shy, especially looking at the chat in the Discord right now. There's definitely a lot of newer players or players who are just not as strong in the fundamentals who would benefit from coaching, but maybe like they feel a little shy or they're not really sure how to approach it. So what would you say to that?
I think that for the shy people, the important thing is that they keep trying, that they're not afraid when they're playing the game. A lot of times in the game, You would probably tunnel vision to a comp, or just like maybe like, hey, this comp is not working for me. I gotta review my game and check it back. So like it's important for them to also like just be like, hey, so I've been lost here. I'll just give you as an example. Now that the set started, I actually had a lot of trouble at the level 8 boards, mostly because I was having trouble building a strong front line. So I asked some friends around, which were already climbing higher than me, and they were able to help me like with the transitions. And it's important thing to ask for help if you need help. Everyone's learning.
Lux, you had something to
Um,
say?
yeah, I was just gonna add how like people just don't understand the value of coaching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like they don't understand how they will get help from coaching. Like I've seen a lot of gold, silver players, sometimes plat players with like hundreds of games in that elo, and they don't get out of it, and they don't understand why, but they don't go look out for why. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing they just kind of don't understand, like the value of coaching. And since they all expect coaching to be like super expensive and shit, they don't go reach out for it. So yeah, it's like it's hard.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
absolutely. I mean, I feel like I feel like coaching is a really prestigious name that might offset a couple people. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It almost puts somebody on a pedestal. But I feel like with a game like TFT, mental is so important. And for a lot of players, especially me sometimes, right? It's like for a lot of players, you tunnel in so hard on one specific way to play the game that you don't consider the other options that you have, right?
mhm. Yeah,
So
TFT mental is something really important in the game, especially if you want to like climb up the ranks. You have to understand you're not always playing for a first, as an example. Were you gonna say something, Blind?
no, actually, tell me more about that. So I'm familiar with this concept of playing for first, playing for fourth, playing for sixth, but I actually want to hear from you because there's not a lot of places, and really, I feel like this is the true value of this show in particular. Like, there's not a lot of places as a newer player where you can hear um, people actually talking about the concepts in depth. So, how would you explain, playing for X place to a newer player?
I think that playing for X plays is something that you sometimes just have to accept. Like, there's gonna be games that are just gonna be really, really tough to win. So, like, you also have to identify what's the least I can lose? Like, what's the play that will guarantee me not going 8 here? So, like, a lot of times you have to change your play style to just like play for a 6, a fourth, even it's like second or third, understanding there's a guy already like killing the entire lobby. So, that's really important to identify. And like also having the mental to just accept that maybe that game is not a first. Also, for example, if you're in low elo, um, there's sometimes like someone that's really high rolling, and I've seen it ever like, hey, this guy already like won the game. Honestly, like 90-80% of the times, like if you're playing on a platinum level, as you're saying, that person's gonna make mistakes and they're winnable. You just have to like sometimes remain calm and play your game, play your strongest board, and focus on your final comp to actually like be able to kill them later.
Gotcha. So you mentioned play styles, right? So what would it be an example of like a play style of playing for first, and then how would that change if they suddenly decided they needed to play for fourth?
Um, so normally when I'm playing for first is that I will be focusing on building like the strongest comp possible, and for that I will have to be ahead. I will have to also have money, of course. Like my eco has to be good, and like maybe playing for Ford means that you took a lot of like damage early game. You haven't been getting that many items that are good, so like switching your playstyle to Ford maybe means like rolling down at 7 and like making sure you have a stable board to actually win some fights now, just like not bleed out before it's doomed.
Right. So it sounds like, a lot of people have this idea of like, oh, I want to save as much money. I want to greed above 50 for as long as possible and really get to level 9 and build a legendary board. And then it sounds like, along the way, if you take too much damage, I think the worst thing you can do is just lose with like 50 plus gold, right?
Yeah, like I've seen so many people take so much damage when it's like stage 4 and you're not rolling at all, because like um you think you're it's like gonna find a stronger board later on at level 8, and you just don't have the health to do that. And before like, even if you hit the board, there's gonna be someone that's also gonna be strong and probably gonna beat you once or twice, and that's gonna be your death probably, because you were like 1 or 2 lives. So it's important to identify as a new player lots of times, what's your strongest board, how can you grow stronger, and like if you're already like low health, what can you do on like that stage to not bleed out.
Right, right. I I want to circle back into coaching here, but I want to talk to you a little bit more about like strongest board. And what I feel like a lot of players is, see, the funny thing is, like, I haven't come across anybody who's really talked about this, but I think this is a concept that a lot of players understand, especially in the higher bracket. It's this concept of intention, right? Where I was helping out my friend, the same one who referred me to the TFT Discord.
Hmm.
I was helping out my friend, just watching his games and giving him a little bit of advice here. And what I realized is, like, he didn't have any intention with his play. Like, he didn't, there wasn't a specific move that he was trying to do. It was just kind of like he's just taking whatever pieces and trying to build the strongest board, but there was no direction in terms of like, I'm going to fast 8, I'm going to fast 9, I'm going to roll down at 7. There wasn't any game plan behind it. And I feel like when we talk about this concept of playing for X place and playing your strongest board, I feel like intention is a big part of this game that a lot of people are missing, because there's not a lot of discord around it. Funny. Um,
We're missing discords to grow the player base.
conversation. You get what I'm saying, right? So I guess my question to you is like, how do you build awareness to understand the game and understand like what place you should be playing with and what kind of play you should be making?
I actually want to talk about building awareness, as you say. I think that a lot of the coaching team that I work with have their own like content. For example, we have Sma, which has YouTube videos, and every like start of the set, he's making like a whole rundown about the set, and then like he's making strongest board videos. He's showing some videos of his gameplay. We have also Locks, which is also starting his YouTube channel. Some of our coaches stream on Twitch. So like, there's a lot of like ways to find some content, especially like if you join the TFT Discord, you'll probably find some really helpful people to get you going. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, sometimes some questions sound really dumb, but it's better to ask them than just be like all confused, like, and not being able to like understand in depth the game.
For sure, for sure. It definitely, coaching is something I definitely can attest to, and it's helped me a lot. And you know what the funny thing is, like, as I'm talking to more high elo players, like challenger players, grandmaster players, to get them on the show, what I'm finding is that all of these guys regularly seek coaching, or at least they regularly seek advice from their peers and other players. And I think that's like incredibly funny, because when you start out in TFT, you kind of don't want to take coaching. Like, it feels a little bad to be like, oh, I'm not a good player, so I need somebody to help me out. But really, when you look at it, like, on the higher echelon of things, these players are always seeking for advice and opinions from their peers, from the other players that they're climbing with.
Definitely. I think that a
100%.
lot of times the coaches, even themselves, like need help from time to time. And the important thing is just like talking about the game with your peers. Because like, if you're talking about something and maybe you're tunnel vision into something, someone can tell you, hey, have you tried like playing it like this? Or maybe you're not itemizing this correctly because of the MR chart, or like something of the game that's going on really strong right now. So like, it's really good to share ideas around, because like everyone has a different view on the game, and then you can like build a stronger view of your game, seeing how the other players at your level are playing.
For sure. I mean, you definitely don't know what you don't know, right? I think when you ask other people their opinions and you get other people's takes, it really shortens down the learning curve, especially when we're coming into a new set here where, there are already people who have put in like 200, 300 games, where it's like you might as well just take a few minutes, eat a little slice of humble pie and ask them their opinion. And generally, like, most people, I'm talking 95% of the TFT player base is happy to tell you their opinions. Like, I don't think I've ever been shot down when I've asked somebody what they think of what's strong or what they think of what's weak.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot of people which are willing to share, and like, even though maybe you say, okay, this person like has a different completely view of the game, or maybe like he tells me what you're doing is wrong, it's good to listen to them, because like, it's gonna form you an opinion, and it's gonna form you to understand maybe how they're playing the game. After all, like if you're even seeking help from persons of your level, you will know how their playstyle is, so you will be able to understand more how the lobbies will run.
For
Yeah, I
sure, for
mean,
sure.
take everything people say with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? They can say whatever they fucking want, right? It's what you
Yes,
decide to take in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like people. There's this meme that I always post on how Kenny will be like, "Hey, I followed this guide step by step. I still come seventh." Like, yeah, dude, like think it through. Take it, with a grain of salt. It's like understand why they said it, and that's when you improve.
definitely. Here I just like to add a fun story between Lux and me, actually from yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
we were debating between slamming GA early or not. So like, it's really good to hear other people's opinions on that, because like he was like, yeah, but this could be this and this could be this, and I'm like, no, I really like GA, and like it's not that someone is right or someone is wrong. It's like different point of views, and like sometimes like maybe I was already too focused on a comp, and Luxender is showing me, hey, no, if you don't slam this, you could be playing a lot more stuff, and like just that way the next time you play you might actually think of a new point of view and like perform better.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
And I think the funny thing too is like unless you really run the hard numbers on the math, you really don't know like what the right play might be, right? Like I remember I was watching Lux stream a game once, and he was deciding if like he wanted to play Kale or not. And he couldn't decide. He's like, do I sell the Heimer or do I sell the Kale? And then on the next shop he got two more Heimers, and it's like, well, it paid off, right? It was just a complete RNG payoff, but you trust your gut. So I think that's like the exciting thing about TFT is there's always that randomness factor. So what might be the best play mathematically might not actually pay off.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, in the end, it's all a gamble.
Yeah, a gamble simulator for sure, for sure. So I
definitely.
want to
Yeah.
pivot back here into coaching, right? So as someone who's been a coach for a while now, and as the lead coach, uh, what are some of the we've talked a little bit about this beforehand, but what are some of the distinct coaching styles, and in your opinion, like what is effective coaching? So for
So
somebody who is looking for coaching for the first time, which they can apply for free on the TFT Discord server, what should they expect?
So there's various different coaching styles. I'm gonna focus on two types of coaching styles, but there's like a lot of variants. There's like the backseating coaching style, and there's also like the bot reviews, and both of them are good. For example, let's take backseat coaching. So normally, like a lot of times when someone's getting coached, it's gonna be like live coaching, and it's gonna be basically um, commenting with someone like what items you should slam, why you should maybe buy this unit, why you should play. There's like different ways of doing the live coaching. So like for example, there's I remember a lot on the TFT Discord we had a coaching with Riot event, and Mordog stepped in and like coach actually one of the rioters, and a lot of his coaching was you had to do this, you had to sell this, you place that here, you move that there. And then after the person did that on the fights, Mordog actually like explained the reasoning behind the why he was doing the decisions, and that way the student was able to learn. But there's also like for example, maybe this works better when it's for example a master player coaching with a grandmaster coaching a master. Maybe it's just better to be discussing the game like hey, would you slam this because of this and that, or would you do this? Do you think this is a rebel pivot or a um, cybernetics? Talking about Setri now. So there's also the other way which people get coached, which is bot reviews. I personally really like that one because like it's normally that a coach reviews your bot. You basically show them a recording and he will give you notes and he will tell you, hey, maybe here you should be playing like this, or here don't forget about your positioning. And it's just better to soak in my opinion, to just have all your notes afterwards, and that way you can learn better. There's also like coaches which will watch you live and then like also show you the bot after. I think that's kind of like Luxinder's style that we have over here. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of methods to coach. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about yours, Lux.
Mine, the full
Yeah,
package.
that's we
I don't
call it.
backseat. I do live, then I do VOD reviews. That's what I do best. Right. I don't value backseat coaching as a good way to coach, especially because when the student get coached, all they're doing, they're just sitting there listening to instructions, waiting for instructions. Right. I feel like backseat coaching excels at higher elos because you already know the fundamentals. You're just getting a new perspective from another player, right? I can see backseat coaching pop off when it's between two challenger players, right? Because they both know how to play. They both have their own ideas what to do at this situation. And sometimes if they align, that means it's a good thing. If they don't align, they get to understand what's their perspective, kind of thing, right? So that's like a thing I like. I watched a lot of like backseat coaching from thing. So I've seen Sox coach some other players. I've seen rank 23 coached like rank 50 or something challenger
Mhm.
like live. That was pretty interesting. Like they were just bouncing off ideas with each other rather than be like, okay, do this, and then like a set of instructions, but almost like this is 100% the play, right? Is this the play, or like what would you do here? Would it be this or this kind of thing, right? It's more like the student asking the teacher what they thought rather than be like the teacher telling them what to do.
Definitely.
You know what I
I
mean?
think that a full backseat coaching, in my opinion, like maybe when the player is completely new and doesn't even know what he's doing, it will help out because he would
I
at least
don't.
learn some bases. But also, as you're saying, I think that on the higher levels, that's a really efficient method to learn to bounce ideas around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
it's see, I'm kind of split because I feel like they both are. So we're talking backseat and we're talking VOD review. I think they're both really good at all levels of play, and here's why. I feel like when you're new to the game, you don't know how big the gap is, right?
Yeah.
Like I think for like a gold plat player, they could feel like, oh, the only thing stopping me from actually hitting diamond or hitting masters is I'm just not hitting. I'm just getting unlucky, and the set's just broken. Everybody's spamming Vayne, right?
Hmm.
And they don't understand what the gap is until they actually get backseated when the person who's backseating is telling them, okay, we got 30 seconds, we need to make 6 decisions right now, right? There's a speed of tempo that you need to achieve at higher levels of play that's not inherent with the game. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people just kind of stare at the screen and they just like they just watch the fight and they're not thinking, right? And it's like when you watch a higher level player play, they're like their screen's just flickering, like they're scouting, they're thinking, they're scouting, they're rolling. Like rolling 40 gold in one turn is actually a skill, right?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't really know that unless you've actually had somebody, or you watch someone, or you've actually had the experience of somebody telling you like roll, just roll, see how many units you're keeping on your board, it's stopping you from rolling, right? And it's
yeah.
like, while this can be detriment to the learning curve of like just taking instructions, I feel like building some sort of methodology for your play, like even just the basic structure of like roll, scout, reposition, slam items, is something that a lot of people, I find, like even in diamond, like don't
Yeah.
even have down pat. You know what I mean? Like that's four distinct things you need to do within the 30-second window. And unless you have experience or you've seen somebody do it or someone's telling you how to do it, you typically like don't work up to that speed.
You know who taught me that? Fucking Toby did. That's like
Toby?
one of the two things. Yeah, one of the two things he taught me is
Oh,
what's the order of operations
oh
during a
yeah.
round, especially in the late stage, and understanding that's very, very important. Right? A lot of people don't. A lot of people either like not spending the money or doing it in the wrong order, and they realize they're fucking up, and they realize like they're missing out on a lot of stuff, right? And like it's very important. And the reason why he said that because I'd also taught him that.
Yeah.
Which is funny. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
It
Someone told
goes
me that.
back.
Yeah. And that's why I say coaching kind of brings a new perspective. And like people don't understand the value of coaching because if he didn't tell me this, I would never have known what's the right order. Right. It's hard to figure this out by yourself, right? If I never told Blind this, I doubt he would know. You know what I mean? So like a lot of the stuff you have to be coached to understand or at least watch a guide. But these small things, people don't write guides about. Like this is literally 4 words. You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
there's
like it's just like
yeah.
it's just like you learn it over time. But like if you seek coaching, you'll learn it way faster, and you'll get to used to
100%.
it quicker because you will have it on your mind.
and you make you fucking make not less mistakes, but it's like you don't suffer a lot more because you don't have to like grind through yourself because someone else already did it for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
like
of
no
times,
hardship.
like mhm. A lot of times when I'm coaching people, I work on um the first game. I'm really chill. I usually do 2 games, and then
Hmm.
and then like if he asks me a question, I'll be like, yeah, I personally think this would be better because of this and that. But I like to watch them first play a game, especially because that way you understand their play style, and that way on the next game I won't full backseat, but I will be shining on him on the things that I think he could improve. And normally that will help him out to just improve his gameplay. So for example, maybe on the first game he's doing really well early game, and then I realized like he's just having issues like on the 11 7 8 transitions. So like I'll tell him, hey, you're playing really well. I think you had your comp, you were focused, and then like you just made a disaster in your roll down. So here are some tips for the next game. Let's play together and let's try and do them, and they will usually like learn a little bit with that coaching session.
Leno is very, very nice in his coaching. He's always like super encouraging and super nice. Like, oh, you're doing such a good job. Like, oh, that was great and stuff like that. And it was me. He's like, just look at you. It's like, yeah, you fucked up.
Yeah, you
That's
just
why
roast
you
them for
gotta
your
find
whole
your
Twitch
style
chat.
of
Yeah,
coach.
it's
Like every coach has a different style.
Yeah.
Maybe Luxembourg is a little more strict. I'm way more relaxed. Like maybe I'm like, hey, you did this really well. But like I think something that I tell my coaches is that you gotta like tell him like also positive stuff to the student, because else he's just not gonna want to come back to you, like, and not gonna want to come back to coaching. After all, like it's a game, and like if you're not even having fun while getting coached, that's an issue.
100%,
for sure.
100%. Always make
So
my
I
students be comfortable. You know, that's like one important thing
The only
to
not
me.
fun coach sessions should be between challengers because there's sweats.
100%.
so I actually want to go into some more tangible tips that players can focus on to like improve their game. And really, Lino, I want to ask you more about like mentality, because Lux is right. Like you're probably the most chill person I've ever seen play TFT and also coach. But I actually want to ask you both for an idea. So I'm now part of the event staff for the TFT Discord server, and I'm playing around with some tournament ideas. How would you guys feel about a tournament where the coaches get a random low elo player and you have to backseat them through the whole tournament?
I thought about
Oh, it's been discussed before, and I am
it.
totally down for it.
It's
I
so,
personally think that it should be like signed up, and like we
yeah.
pick like a person who chooses a lodges, maybe of platinum or like just being hardstock flat, and you take him for a week as your student, and then like it's exam week on Saturday, and they just fight each other.
That would be
Um,
really cool, actually. So, like a period where you have time with them beforehand.
Definitely, because like if
so
you just toss them to the
yeah,
fire, it's like I just got this guy, but I don't even know what his playstyle is.
yeah, but what's occurred? Like, if you haven't been here long enough, blind, but in set 2 worlds, there's a thing called littles and legends. So legends are like the good players, and littles are like the newer players. So what
Yeah,
happens is there'll be a game where the littles fight each other, and there'll be a game going on where the legends fight each other, and the littles and the legends are like sitting together and like discussing about the game. So the coach, right, will have to play their own game while coaching someone else who's playing their own game. You know what I
oh
mean?
my
And
god.
that's a very, very cool concept, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I
Huh,
did never
interesting.
has been a thing afterwards. It was so fun, just watching it,
Okay.
because there's like so many perspectives of different people playing when like the littles are playing, and they're like, "Fuck, what do I do?" Like, or like they actually had to work with them for a period of time, and then they shut them up on there, you know, to play against the others. Yeah, that's why I
I
always
think
try to clean this up in
there's a
like
lot of fun
suggestions.
things you could do with low elo
Yeah.
players. Like as logs, imagine there was no quarantine and we could have like an event, like live event, like maybe coaches, and then like they switch like computers every once in a while with a low elo player, so they're switching games.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
It's like,
That'd
here,
be
take the
funny.
keyboard.
Oh wait, you need to roll down quick. I'll switch with you. I'll roll down for you.
That'd be kind of funny. It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like you got lifelines, you know, you know what I mean? Like you can use a lifeline to swap in your coach for
Yeah.
like one round. It's like, hey, I got
Oh,
60 gold. I need to roll down here.
that would be so funny. That'd be so funny. That would be so funny.
You just go back to your game, like say this game was stable, then you look down and it's like level 7 gold, and it's a stage 5. Like what the fuck happened here?
Yeah.
There's definitely like I'm super excited because there's so many things, there's so many avenues for this game to go down, and I really feel like we're at the right time here, where it's like, the whole past 2 years are like trial period. You know what I mean? Like it's for TFT to just test, and now it's like we're watching like the tournaments come together. Like the next tournament's gonna be live in China. Like this is really, I think, the exponential point of TFT.
It's a moment for TFT that has to grow. If it stays the same, it's not gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I think that with the live events and having a world championship live and everything, the game has to grow. This is the opportunity for them, and that's why there's a lot of like I think tournaments, events going on. Like even like the Twitch rivals that happened last week, you just had a lot of viewers, which is great. Like that's really good.
Yeah,
For
TFT is
sure,
growing,
for sure.
100%. It's good.
So for those who are looking to compete in the next biggest tournament, or those who just picked up the game and they want to get at least, somewhat better. Lino, I really want to start picking your brains on what are the best things or most important things for players to focus on, both low elo and high elo. What are really the Pareto principle? What are the 80-20 things? So for those who don't know, Pareto's principle 80-20 is the 80% of your results will come from 20% of your efforts, right? So we really want to maximize on the things that give us the most amount of difference, as opposed to, just like a small marginal amount of difference. So
Okay,
what should we focus on, Lino?
I'll be honest, and this is just me, and this is just my point of view. But you say low and high elo players, right? Like an advice for low and high elo, correct?
Both, yeah. However you want to do it. So if you want to give advice specifically to low, if you want to give advice specifically to high,
So
if there are things that both people should be doing that people don't do enough,
I
what's the
think the
situation?
first advice has to be like, and this is for everyone, like your mental is really important in the game. Like, sometimes just seeing a game
Yes,
as
sir.
doomed. What happened, Lux?
I say yes, sir. I
Oh yeah.
agree.
So like I think no matter what elo you are, no matter what tournament you are, your mental is the most important thing. You don't lose a game until you hit 0 HP, and you don't know if the other opponent is gonna make a mistake. Some games will just look doomed, but you just have to make the best out of them. Like sometimes you're gonna have tough games, and you have to admit that. Like no one is gonna perfectly climb to masters with a like like top 4 perfect grade year. You're gonna have bad games. You're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna learn from them. Like no matter if you're like in the lowest level or in the highest level, you're always learning. So like you have to cool yourself down. Like for example, um I've seen like I'm gonna give an example of a player, David from Latam. He was he needed a first on his last game to like qualify for the final qualifier on Worlds on the Latam tournament. Like, and so basically he needed to like get in first because he got an 8 last game. If he had just shut himself down and like said, no, I can't make it, or oh, it's too hard and stuff. No, he just like he just went full concentration mode, played his best, and just win streak it to a first. Like he actually played the game perfectly because like he could have also win streak it and like still not be focused and just like made a mistake. The most important thing was that he did not like stayed on his past game. Just like, oh no, I did so bad. No, he just went for next. Like just go next. So no matter what rank are you, like rank 1 or like just a plat player, you have to focus on your mental and understand that sometimes you're gonna have bad games, and the most important thing is just learn about them and go to the next game.
Right.
I agree.
Mental is definitely something that I see is like one of the biggest skills in this game, right? It's so hard to make any amount of progress or even be consistent if you're just getting tilted after every game, after every roll down. So I think like within this game community, there's a lot of like memes that are kind of dismissive, like just hit. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, oh, of course, why didn't I think of that? Just hit the units I'm looking for.
just
So
hidden player diff.
player diff, right? So I'm
Oh god.
more interested in
Hmm.
like going into something a little bit more pragmatic of like what are
Mm.
things that you do or you think other people can do to really just keep the mental and train the mental.
You have to feel okay with yourself, like that you're enjoying the game, that you're maybe like trying your best, and like if you didn't like if you made a mistake, you just have to like sit up and admit it, not go like all full mad. um One of the, I know that even on the highest level, like the world's tournaments and stuff, like I think it's really important for the players to just like relax. I've seen so many people just run it down because they stay back and focus on a game that already happened instead of just going next. I think the concept of just hitting is also like a really mimi concept, and like it's a really toxic concept also because like yeah, you will get like just some just hit moments and like some lucky moments, but like it's, I think in a way it's toxic because like you're basically just like saying, hey, it's like it's the way to play. Like if some people are just hit, like no, it's not the way to play. Like, you have to maximize your odds to actually like be able to just hit.
And
Yeah,
that's where the
something
player
that
diff comes
I'm
I
in.
don't know if that made sense what I just said.
Yeah, it makes
no, that
sense.
makes sense.
Okay.
Lex, what did
This,
you want to say?
I said that's just where the player diff comes in, right? Like some people just complain because they just can't hit, but then the better player will be like, cool, if I can't hit these units, but these units keep popping in my shop, it might possible to pivot to this comp instead, you know what I mean? That's just difference in players and
Yeah,
knowledge.
absolutely. That's actually something that I've been more focused on myself is actually when I have a bad roll down of like 40, 50 gold and I don't hit the units I want, I actually go back into the VOD and I watch the roll down and I ask myself, okay, out of what I rolled, what can I actually pivot into? Right. And like sometimes it bothers me for a couple hours and I just take a break and go do something else. And then like when I'm making coffee, I'll be like, oh, it was a karma pivot. Okay.
Yeah, like it's a lot of times that way. Or like maybe you just look at your bot and realize, hey, I made this item really early and that just forces me into one comp. So like maybe I should have made this item which is still flexible. Like it's like little details like, and sometimes you don't even realize them because you're just tunnel vision into one playstyle. And that's fine also, like just having like to force one comp to learn the game, but there's gonna be a point where you want to learn other stuff to actually climb.
Right. So
Nah,
we've
bro,
talked a
fuck
little
that.
bit about. What'd you say, Lex?
Fuck that. Just force a comp. Hello?
No,
2020,
forcing
mate.
comps is fine, I think, to learn. Like personally, when
100%.
like myself right now, I've been forcing a lot of comps, mostly to understand them and learn them, see how the
Yeah.
units interact and stuff. But like if you're forcing a comp, lots of time it's just to learn, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's also like really good one trick players also in the
Yeah,
game.
for sure. For
But
sure.
like
I
for me
feel like
personally, when I'm like forcing one comp, it's because I want to learn it to later on like see when it's the easiest pivot to it.
yeah. Also, I feel like I want to add, um, I feel like as a beginner player, forcing comp is actually a good thing because you want to limit the variables that you need to adapt to and learn, right? I feel like comps you can learn later on very easily, and something can easily pick up compared to something like economy, leveling, right? That's like the most important thing to learn because that carry
True.
over with every single comp. You know, your comp knowledge stays with the comp, right?
Yep.
I feel like if you just copy paste a comp when you first start and try to understand how economy works and how leveling works, it'll be much better than you'd be like, I want to learn like 6 billion comps, but I don't even know how to make 50 gold. You know what I mean? And I don't know where
Yep.
interest is and when to level and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's something I definitely can attest to. I mean, within, as you probably both know, I mean, my first set, which is last set, 4.5, I only played keepers, right? And it was for that exact reason. It's to limit the amount of variables that I needed to worry about so I can learn the other areas of the game a lot quicker, right? I feel like playing flex is something that's ideal, but it also requires a large amount of accumulated knowledge and a large amount of wisdom to actually execute properly.
Yep.
So
100%.
Lino, we've talked a lot about mentality even before this call, right? So, I want to hit a couple of topics here that I think the community as a whole really just needs to hear more opinions on it and hears more voices. We talked about, like having bad roll downs being missed opportunities. And if you dismiss it as like, oh, I just didn't hit, that's really, you chopping yourself down at the knees. But I want to ask you, like, how do you stop blaming the RNG?
You gotta Like especially in the lower levels, you just gotta accept that you have to play better, that you have to like improve your playstyle. Like even at the higher level, like for example me, I will say, whoa, there's like right now, let's say there's four main players, I can't beat them. No, it's like maybe I'm not even building the correct board right now that's strong when I miss too many units, and like maybe I should have built it different my items. Like there's a lot of ways to not blame the RNG, because like um the chosen is gone, which was the biggest RNG element in the game. So like there's no excuse this set for blaming RNG. I think that the game state is in a really good place, and like for yourself to blame it on RNG, it's probably something else most of the time. Like you would actually like maybe watch the bot and you will realize, hey, I should have played like this, or hey, you see this player was already really really strong since the beginning, so I shouldn't have played for the win streak. I was just already losing. Why did I play like that my early game? Lux wants to add something.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's just a mental thing, right? Like blaming RNG is just people making excuses. That's how I
Yes.
see it, right? I try not to look at RNG. Like I never think I just didn't hit. I played bad. That's what it is. It all comes down to I just played bad, right? It's not an RNG thing, right? There's a game I played one carry with the set of items, but then after the game, I was like, "Fuck, why didn't I play the better carry with these perfect items on the unit?" You know, I was like stuff
Yeah.
like that. Right? It's like it's not because I didn't hit what I was playing. It's because I didn't realize that at that moment there's a better comp that I could have played, and I clearly rolled over it and wasn't paying enough attention. Right? That is not RNG. That is just me not paying enough attention, and I'm not
Hmm.
good enough to realize that until after the game. Right? I feel like people shouldn't use RNG as an excuse to compensate why they play bad. This is just for help them to like boost their ego or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I think that on the highest level, if everyone played their game perfectly, it will be an RNG issue into one
For sure.
point, because like if everyone played TFT perfect, um it will rely on like luck base most of the time, but no one plays the game perfectly and everyone makes like mistakes. So like there's always a way to maybe like beat your opponent. Like maybe on the highest level there's gonna be a little bit more NG, because like if someone gets a really strong board and win streak, he will probably find a way to kill the lobby. But you also have to play around that and realize like maybe I'm not actually playing for a first here, maybe I'm playing for a second, and this is why I'll switch my playstyle to that.
For sure. I think for a lot of players, and this is something that I came to the realization after playing seriously for a couple of weeks, is that the RNG dicks everybody.
Yep.
Like the RNG has no favorites. The RNG dicks everybody. It's always a chance, right? And as soon as you get past the fact that it dicks everybody, then you can put it aside and say, okay, it's no longer aspect of the game that I'm going to focus on, because what needs to happen is that you need to focus on everything else that you can control, right? Like
Yeah.
your economy, your scouting, your positioning, what items you slam. These are all items. Sorry, these are all things that are 100% within your control. And once you've actually gotten to the point where you play all of those aspects of your game 100%, then you can blame RNG. But even
Totally.
still, there are some games where it's like I'll roll down, and at the end of my roll down, I'll be like, "Fuck! I actually could have had a gold Ivern at this point." Like I've literally passed this 4 cost unit so many times. I could have had a gold
No, no,
Ivern.
no. Same unit. Same unit. It's just the same unit.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So we've talked a little about RNG. I want to talk about here, like, most people think games are doomed, right? Like they don't hit, they have a roll down, it's bad, they miss everything. And then for what I notice a lot of players do is they just go, this game's doomed, it's over. Alt tab, switch to general chat. I hate this game so much, right? How do you save games that seem doom? And how do you save your mental, more importantly?
Sometimes, for example, I had a game yesterday that I won 7. It was supposed to be in 8. I was like 30 HP at like 3-6, something like that. It was no, yeah, something like that. It was just like I don't know what I did, but I basically said, okay, I'm just gonna focus on building the strongest board I can, just rolling all my gold here, and hopefully someone dies before me. Else, I don't know how I got to this spot, but from here, this is the best way I can play it. And if I get an 8, it's an 8. If I get a 7, I did a really good job. And I got a 7. But like Sometimes it'll be an 8, and you just realize, okay, I played that really bad since the beginning, and I have to improve stuff. It's not RNG, it's not the game's fault, it's my fault. Like, there's always a way to improve.
So I feel like for me, what's starting to really click is this idea of like, if I'm having a bad game, there's a really good chance that there's a few more people having a bad game within the lobby, right?
Definitely.
And I'm starting to really put together this I don't know if you want to call it like a thesis of how to play TFT.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, like I'm not the best player, and this is why I'm happy to talk about this with everyone and hear their opinions. But I feel like this concept of like playing strongest board works out in your favor because you don't necessarily need to kill everyone. In most cases, people will kill themselves, right? Like being a
Well, you can't
consistent
say
player.
that. You can't say that.
Why not? It's true though. I'm talking in the
It is.
game, of course, right? Let's not.
It is.
That's
It is.
probably gonna get clipped, isn't it? Right? That's
Yeah.
somebody's gonna clip this. I know. I know they are. But
That's gonna
like,
be cut.
if you think about it, like if you're trying to climb, right? What you're trying to do is you're trying to be consistent and play the most optimal stuff for you. There are going to be other players in the lobby who will play suboptimal things. They will slam items that they shouldn't be slamming, right? They will make moves that are going to cut them. Like some people will just roll aggressively trying to gold star early. And all you have to really do is you don't have to be the person that kills everyone in the lobby. You just have to live the longest, because even if you have this one guy who just high rolled out of his mind and he's smashing the whole lobby, you just have to make sure he doesn't beat you down too hard,
Yeah.
and he'll beat down everyone else for you.
You
I know,
just
right?
have to play around that, like, as you're saying, like, I remember in the Worlds qualifier, DQA, like, there was a moment when he just like built a trister by, I think, because like he didn't have like more options to just itemize it,
No, it's a
and that
team.
way
I think
it
it's a
wasn't
team.
an 8. I think he top 4 with that. And like, it reminds me a lot that sometimes like you just have to change your play style, have to play around what you're given to like just be able to play the game and just realize there's a lot of playstyles to do. But I remember that a lot because I was like, that game looks Doom, and then all of a sudden I just see him like actually like playing a Trister by, and I'm like, wow, like he's actually doing this to not bleed out, and it actually worked for him in his favor.
Yeah, and back on what Blind said about how people make a mistake, like my mentality when it comes to playing TFT is like, we all start at 8th together, right? I
Yes.
am just trying my best to see what I can do each turn to push my placements up. So I'm working from the bottom up. You know what I mean? I'm just finding ways to get me out of bottom 4, right? Rather than being like, you know, going from top down kind of thing. I'm a first, like trying to cut my losses,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what I'm thinking. That's how I play TFT. It's like always find ways to find my way out of bot 4. That's how I play it, right? That's how I coach people as well. It's like, okay, what is your end goal? What's your like way out? That's always they say. It's like, what's your way out? Like, how are you going to get out of bottom 4? You know what I mean? It's like
Yes,
stuff like
and
that. Because
that's
if
a
you
really
have
good
a charge,
mental that you have there. Like, it's like you're already saying since the beginning how you're just gonna like escape the doom, like the game is doom. So like seeing that everyone started sequel is really a good way to think about the game. And like I think another thing that we have to take into account is that everyone will melt at some point. There will be a moment where you're just gonna feel like, okay, I feel so lost. The important thing is, what are you gonna do with that melt? Are you just gonna like blame it on the game, or are you actually gonna like work to get better? There's so many ways to do it. Like, you can look for help, you can look for coaching, you can look even in streams. Like many streamers are such good players, and like seeing their playstyle sometimes realizes, hey, I don't do that, and maybe I should start doing this way.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually want to ask you about a tweet that I saw Mortdog post earlier today. Let me see if I can just
Oh,
pull
the
it up
vein,
real quick.
Mordog?
About the
the vein
vein? Yeah,
tweet,
about
vein
vein.
tweet.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
that too when I woke up. So what he said is it OP? Yep. Okay, see, okay, then I'll go from the start. Seeing a lot of vein complaints. ... Is it OP? Yep. Has it been OP for 10 days before anyone figured it out? Yep. And it's been OP ever since they were on fucking PvE, if no one realized. Stop crying. Stop crying. Stop copying streamers and websites and get out there and innovate. 100%, right? Find the next OP comp, be the innovator. That's how you get good at TFT. I
So
really
I'm
love what he
curious
said.
about your thoughts on that, Lino, because I think there's an argument to be said about playing meta and playing your strongest game, right? Like playing towards your own strengths as a player. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Like for example, right now the meta
Sorry, can you just get a little
revolves a
closer to
lot
your microphone?
around the unit of Bane, right? I'm gonna take Bane as an example, okay?
Yeah.
So everyone has been playing it today and yesterday. So I just decided, well, if everyone's playing Bane, there's like so many other carries I can just play for a top four. Like I can play Aphelios, I can play Velcos. It's just like everything became uncontested because everyone's tunnel visioning to Bane. Like especially because I'm still on Diamond. So like um it's been like I just haven't touched the Bane and I've just been playing other carries and it's been turning out really well. Why? Because everyone's just seeing one thing that they realize it's OP, but they just left the other things completely out. So just build a frozen heart and beat it. Like there's so many ways to beat it. Like some weeks ago we had the LeBlanc. And like players were like, "Oh my god, LeBlanc's OP." I didn't play a single LeBlanc game, and I was able to climb. Why? Because there's so many other stuff to play. Like they're just like the community. I feel that Tunnel Vision is a lot in one comp, and it's usually like the comp that's killing everything at the moment, like mostly winning. But like, there's so many other comps that also win. Like, you can just play Aphelios, you can just play like Belkas, you can just play Karma. Karma just like sends her weird things, not lasers, but what are they? They're like balls that she shoots out and just like snipes Bane from time to time.
Yeah, Spirit Bomb, Spirit
Like just
Bomb.
yeah, spirit bombs. So like there's a lot to play, and like if you're just tunnel vision on Reddit, guess what? You're probably just gonna be like with four more people playing the same thing instead of actually like maybe realizing you don't have to play it if you don't have the right options to play it. Because I will play a Bane game from time to time right now, but that doesn't mean all my games have to be Bane.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And like if you don't hit, you know what I mean? It's like hurting yourself. It's like if you don't hit a vein two by like 5-1, it's like why are you playing vein?
Yes, but for example, let's talk about Bane a little bit more. On set two, Bane was also like in a time like really strong with the light comp. I
Oh yeah, I
remember
remember
myself. I
that.
was
And they
I
killed
was
it.
so tunnel vision to Bane, and this was me when I was just plat and I've never climbed higher. I was so tunnel vision to Bane, thinking that hey, if I find Bane, I'm gonna win. If I find Bane, I'm gonna top four. So I literally rolled and I literally rolled after neutrals to find Bane too. Was it good idea? No. Maybe I've missed so many good games there because I was just tunnel vision to one comp, and I see that all the time. Like players would be like, "Oh, Bane is broken." Well, yeah, but just like play something else. Like I've been able to also win streak pretty well with Syndra, and no one's playing Syndra. Like, don't tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't.
I so I think Ellis has this quote for me that I think is like super true when it comes to TFT, and I'm curious when we're going to start to see this in full effect. But what Ellis says is that whatever counters the meta. So meta, for those who know, is most efficient tactic available or most effective tactic available. Whatever counters the meta is the new meta.
Oh, is that what meta means?
Yeah, yeah. You didn't know what that's what meta means?
No. Thank you
Yeah.
for the
The
Wait,
more
what's
you know. No, that's what meta means. It's most
Yeah.
effective tactic available, right? So it's
okay?
whatever the game has organized to be the best method, right? But the
Mhm.
problem when it comes to TFT is that it's a limited resource pool, right? So if everybody's going to be trying to play meta, your biggest chance of winning is playing whatever counters it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And as you mentioned, Lino, like there's so many ways how to build around it. You can go frozen hard, and it's funny to me that we haven't really explored all the options yet. Like there's 36 new items.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's funny we haven't explored all the options yet, and people are so dismissive to like the set's broken. I'm waiting for 5.5. I'm waiting for set 6.
Mm-hmm. Also, for example, right now, like we just had 2 weeks, and I had so much fun. I don't really care about my LP right now. I've just been having fun. Like I've been like doing just stuff to try it out, see how it interacts. Like because the more you screw up, the more you learn. You know, like for example, before a tournament, I normally like on solo queue some days before I just run it down because I want to try stuff. I want to see what happens if I play it like that. And that has been helping me a lot to perform well in tournaments because like it's better to screw up on the ladder than in the event. And that way, like if you're in a really awkward situation, you maybe already like tested some choices on the ladder.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, one of the builds that I'm really I'm really keeping my eye on is Shadow Gunblade.
Okay, I don't like that
Yeah,
item,
so
but
so
talk to
take
me.
this, right?
Talk to me about it.
I'm not saying it's great, right? But
Okay.
just take this, right? So I had one game where I was going I was going redeemed Karma Carry,
Mhm.
right? And I needed to smash something because I was just bleeding out. I'm just hemorrhaging, right? And the only thing I could build was a Shadow Gunblade. So I tossed it on Vel'Koz, right? And the really interesting thing is like as the redeems die, they buff up the rest of the team, right? So what happens mid fight is that like 2 or 3 of your redeems are going to die, and your Vel'Koz will ult. He still does like quite a bit of damage, but he heals the rest of your team. And it's
Yeah,
so much damage that it heals your carry, it heals your support units, then it starts healing your front line. And I'm like, wow, this is actually incredibly strong. Like as utility, it's so incredibly strong. And I was able to just make it into top 4, and then I pulled a second with it when it was like it looked like a 7th place game for sure. So I'm really curious to see like what happens to that item. There's so many unexplored shadow items that I don't believe people have really like unlocked yet.
yeah, I agree. Like we were getting to know the game, and like I remember, like just look at it right now. Vayne is really strong. But like it's always been strong, and they didn't realize it. Like just like Marta said. So I just can't wait for whatever people start like playing now. Like I actually think it's gonna be Syndra, but we'll see what happens.
It 100% will be Syndra, but at the
I
same
think
time,
Syndra is so good. Like that's just me
I,
though.
I feel like it might be Syndra Knights
Hmm.
just to counter Vayne because it's true damage, but true damage get blocked by Knights damage block. 6 Knights Syndra, whew. Just fling whatever into Vayne and she just dies.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean
Can we cut this bit out so no one copies us later on?
no.
Thank you.
This is the good part of the end of the podcast, the tidbits for everybody who made it all the way to the end. It's like a little reward, you know. I'm
Sure,
happy with that.
I guess. As long as they don't fucking do it against me and matter, I'm chilling.
I'm happy with that. So, Lino, I think we're coming to the end here. We've
Mhm.
talked about your journey as a player. We've talked about you becoming a coach and then lead coach. We talked a little bit about mentality and things players can do. TFT definitely for me is a game that's like a puzzle that you have to try and solve every set.
Yes.
As closing remarks, right? What do you think is the most important thing anybody can do right now to make their game a lot better?
I think.
Get coaching from me.
Okay, so I think that so like you're looking for an answer of like for everyone, right, to improve their game.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
However you see you should answer this.
I think you always have to expand your TFT community. That's the end of it. Like, as a TFT player, look around, see what other players at your level and a little higher are talking about. See what discords they're on. Like, join the TFT Discord. It's a great place to start. Also, and just like expand your community, and you'll gain a lot of game knowledge. Because like the more you hear about it, the more like you watch TFT gameplays, maybe just join on Discord on the stream and see how they play, you're gonna learn, and that way you will improve on your gameplay. Like I'll take myself as an example. I just stick with my RL friends to play TFT and not actually like want to climb. I would have never been able to like climb on the ladder because like I seek for better people than me to be able to improve as a player. So like I think the most important thing for any player is to keep looking for resources that help his level.
Amazing, amazing. Well, that's a great segue for me to do our sign off here. For the 5 of you who don't know about the TFT Discord server, join us. You can find me, you can find Lux, you can find Lino. Ask us questions, come get some help, meet some cool friends. You might get roasted a little, but it's all fun and games. Links in the description. And Lino, for the people who want to find you, where can they find you?
For me, I think the easiest way is on the TFT Discord, and on my Discord tag is Lino #0007.
Beautiful. I'll also link
Sweet.
your Twitter and your Twitch in the description. For those of you who have listened to the second episode, thank you so much. Lino, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I think we've had some amazing talks, and I'm super happy with how this episode came out. Lux, do you have anything
100%.
else you want to say?
I appreciate every single one of you who watch these VODs, right? The podcast is fucking great. I love you guys. And hopefully we bring more better content for you guys as we improve.
For sure, we're building it as we're flying it. It's a little rough right now because we're just trying to put in the reps in. I call this the placements of the podcast, right? We're just trying to put in the reps, get better, and every time it's like Lux and I and Nair have so many good ideas, so much good feedback. We're just trying to implement every iteration. I mean, this episode has a lot more structure and went a lot smoothly than the first one, right?
100%. I feel sorry for Nair to be the first guinea pig. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he did great. So did Lino. He did very good as well.
Thank
I love
you.
it.
I love you.
And for you, the listener here, if you have any ideas, thoughts, feedback, please let us know. I don't care if it's in the comments. I don't care if it's in Discord. Just let us know what you think. It helps us out a lot.
Ooh,
Yeah, he needs to help his speaking stuff as well. Speak a little bit clearer. Just then, not good enough.
All right. With that being said, we are signing off here. Thank you, gentlemen, both, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Thank you.